Welcome to the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi here in our West Loop studios. Fellas, it's been a long time since we've been here. It's really nice to be back, especially for another riveting edition of Top Shelf Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about players we loved that played for teams we hated. And we've got a lot of people jumping in on our Discord and on our Twitter when we sort of promoted them last night. And I know we've got our own picks too. And if you want to join us in the chat, feel free. Put your comments in there, and we'll share them as part of the show.
By the way, can I just mention real quickly, players we loved was a very strong word for me, and I don't know if you noticed the little intro there. I put respected enemies.
There you go.
Respected, yeah. Okay, respected enemies.
I thought love, I don't think I fucking love any of these guys.
I think there are a few.
We'll get to it.
Respected is good.
We'll get to it. There are a few guys
I
genuinely loved that played for other teams.
All right,
way to put the diehard fan spin on our show. We appreciate that one. That's why you get paid the big bucks around here.
Yeah, sure, yes, the big bucks.
We're also going to preview, we'll talk about last night's action, Rangers and Hurricanes. Won some money on PointsBet. Thank you very much. 2 for 2 last night. And we've got some not-so-pleasant news to start the show with. And anytime anything unpleasant arises, we give the microphone to Mario.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
He just has a way of kind of saying things eloquently.
I try my best. So we had discussed this, obviously off the show, and felt it was necessary to acknowledge it. So I want to also say in advance, just a heads up, trigger warning, content warning. If talking about sexual assault makes you uncomfortable or gives you any adverse feelings or anything like that, feel free to skip the next couple of minutes. But in the last couple of days, it has come to light of a sexual assault lawsuit, which has been settled between an unnamed woman and Hockey Canada. And I believe the CHL was also involved in it as well. But there, unfortunately, it's something that is happening again. It's something that is as we learned with the Kyle Beach story and how things have become unearthed from the hockey world. It's something that is more prevalent than I think we ever imagined, and it's terrible that that is the case. But in summer 2018, the CHL and Hockey Canada was holding a ceremony to honor the 2018 gold medal winning World Junior Canadian team, and during the course of that weekend, a young woman was sexually assaulted by, I believe the number is 8 members of hockey players who were attending that gala, which was happening in London, Ontario, Canada. And I'm sure you guys, like myself, thousands and millions others who have come across this story, one of the first things you did was say, who's on that roster?
Right.
And, it's the speculation game is a dangerous one to play, but it's something that is human nature. And I think one of the interesting things that may or may not be an actual thing is the difference between the statements that were sent out by Hockey Canada and by the NHL. Because Hockey Canada, the way that they phrased it was that the 8 players were CHL players that may or may not have also been part of that Canadian team. And the NHL, in their statement addressing it, said that all 8 players were part of the team. So maybe a mistake on one of the other 2, or it may be the NHL kind of giving more information than they thought that they were. But regardless, these players are, you look up and down the roster, and a lot of them are current or have been in the NHL. And it's a terrible story. Rick Westhead of TSN, who was all over the Kyle Beach story, he has a lot of details in a story that you can find on TSN. I know Katie Strang of The Athletic was also reporting on that as well. And I don't want to go through the roster and say this player, this player, this player, this player. But if you can see the roster, you can see who's involved, and you can find out that there are current Blackhawks that are potentially connected to it. So it's something that I think we needed to address. Again, it has been settled, and I think if the survivor, if she wants to just let it be that, you kind of have to respect that. But I know in today's world, the mob, as there's a better word for it, but people want names.
Yeah.
It may or may not come out. I don't know what the end result is. I don't know what the NHL will do, if anything. But it's just it's a terrible story. I hope the Blackhawks aren't involved in it any more than speculation, but we may never know. But this also might be something that we continue to have to talk about. But I think addressing it would have been the right move for us. We couldn't ignore it and just say, it's settled, it's over, there's more to it. So.
Yeah. And, when we talk about hockey culture and its toxic nature, this is the sort of stuff we're talking about. These stories are way too common in hockey. And, yes, these bad things happen to people around the world. They're done by people, not athletes, whatever. But it feels like the NHL and hockey in general has this problem a little more than some of the other sports. And it's problematic. So, yes, we absolutely have to address it. But just be careful with what you consume on social media, right? Like, you might see rumors, you might see names mentioned. Go with trusted media sources. Rick Westhead, Katie Strang, people who've got that blue check mark next to their name are going to be more careful with their information than Joe Blow 12345 tweeting out a photo that's got players on it. We saw some of that this weekend, and just be careful. Just be careful with what you see, and trust the people that have earned the right to be trusted.
Go with what things that can be proven in a court of law. Until then, just use discretion.
All right,
and the speculation game. I mean, it's people want to know who the players are, but that also then can in turn become a speculation on who the victim was, and that is the worst thing that could happen. Yeah. So it's again, I echo the sentiment of be careful with where you go with it, and I think we'll leave it at that.
All right. With that, should we have some fun?
Yes, let's get to the
all right, let's have some
fun part of hockey.
All right, Top Shelf Tuesday is the catch-all thing we came up with just for our fun Tuesday off-season. Let's have a fun discussion about something random. So today's topic is players you should I
now go Lawrence, with it, and then I'll just stew over here on my.
All right, you'll be pissed over there. Players you loved on teams you hated. If you're Lawrence, you'll say players you respected on teams you hated.
We've ruined Lawrence's Tuesday morning, so mission accomplished.
Well, maybe you'll feel better if we let you, Lawrence, go first with your pick for a player that you respected on a team you hated.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't even know who the hell that would be at this point, because
Lawrence hates everybody.
My first thought would have been Luongo, but I feel like that's more from Strombone after he left Vancouver.
Yeah,
Luongo was on my list as a maybe because I feel the same way. Right? I hated him when he was a player, at least when he was a Canuck.
Yes,
when he went back to the Panthers, I was kind of like, I don't really care anymore.
Right.
And he's one of the funniest guy.
He's great, yeah.
He needs to be on TV, so I don't hate him, but
that
3 year window, I was kind of hoping he'd get hit by a train.
Yes.
To put it lightly.
Yeah. I mean,
along with every last one of those MFers from Vancouver.
Well, I like that Greg went from I want him to be hit by a train to he should be on TV.
Yeah.
That is a giant
jump. He should be on TV getting hit by a train.
Yes.
This week on Roberto Gets Hit by a Train, Roberto Gets Hit by a Train.
I'd watch that show.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's funny he's not on TV. It's
I'm guessing that's a choice because
he
probably
probably
has
the
personality.
He might just not be interested in it,
or maybe he's too much.
Yeah,
get him on TNT. Get Bizanet off there and put Luongo.
I'm sure he's enjoying retirement.
Yeah, definitely. So I did see a theme in the responses we got, and I think whenever we have Blackhawks fans talking about teams they hate, the first team that comes up is the Red Wings.
Mm-hmm.
And the most common name I saw was Steve Eiserman.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think he's one of those guys that if you consider yourself a fan of the game, it doesn't matter what sweater he's wearing. You respect what that dude does. He's kind of a universal figure. I can't find a lot of guys that are like, that son of a bitch, Steve Eiserman. Like, no. He was a really good player and a really good team for a really long time, and now he's become one of the best front office guys in the league. That's a guy that I have always had trouble disliking. And I think you guys would probably agree on that, right? Did you? I go to Greg for my
for your rational take.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I didn't hate Steve Eiserman. I hated him when he played the Hawks because he usually
he
did something,
Yeah, like
disastrous.
3 points a game. Yeah.
But no, I respected the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Great player. I wanted
See?
him to play for the Blackhawks.
There's that word, respect.
I mean, I loved watching him play when he played against anybody but the Blackhawks. And we have Drive Secure 24/7. It says Dino Ciscerelli. No, you've got the topic wrong. This is players we liked. Dino sucks. Dino Ciscerelli. Speaking about guys that need to get hit by trains, I hated him with a passion. I still have a Dino sucks button somewhere
As you should.
at
That's
my
cool.
house. My dad had.
Dino Dino.
I went and watched. Went to see Red Wings and Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada a few years ago at the Joe, and then went to Dino Ciscerelli's bar afterwards. And I really loved Detroit. I had a great time there. It was just one night, but it was a great time. But basically, the bars there are just like bombed out holes in walls that they just like then build a bar inside of.
Nice.
And it's like whatever Red Wing of the week owns the bar this week. Dino Ciscerelli's bar was a dark room with 2 TVs and a bar. I guess that's all you needed.
That's all you need, yeah.
Yeah.
Where was Kurt Malpe's bar?
I don't know. I did not see that one. Maybe it's like only malt liquor.
There you go.
That'd be like a good catch for Malpe. So
There you go.
for me, always had respect for Eiserman. But my favorite Red Wing, which is cringy to say.
Weird to say.
I love Sergey Fedorov.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he was,
Yeah.
at the time, we talk about how Roenick was such a reflection of the era he played in. The mullet and the flash and the, everything that JR was sort of exemplified the 80s and early 90s of hockey. I think Fedorov was sort of like in that new generation.
He kind of gave us a sneak preview of where the game was heading.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was the visionary. Him and
Yep.
Pavel Beret, because those guys would be considered like mid-range speed now, but they just blew
Right.
by guys back then.
And I think
I hated Fedorov, but man, did I love watching him play.
And there was because of the fact that he was Russian and the time when he was here, there was sort of this like, I don't know, like mystery around him, or like Eiserman was a Canadian guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, back then when Russia was, well, it's back to that again, but when it was at that time was like the Red Army. It was like, can you talk to this person? They're from another world, And so there was always that little bit of mystery and intrigue around Sergey Fedorov,
little mystique
too.
around them, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he would always draw my eye when he would play in two-way forward. Played some defense in his career. Lined up as a defenseman several times with Columbus, I believe. He was just a guy that I could not hate, despite the fact that he was skating circles around my Blackhawks night after night after night.
Yeah.
He was appointment television.
So we'll stick with Red Wings. Design Love lists another guy that was hard to hate on, Nicholas Lindstrom.
Yes.
One of the greatest
Oh, yeah.
defensemen of all time. Just longevity, did it the way you were supposed to do it, classy player. One of those guys, again, man, God, I hate that he's on the Red Wings. Why can't he play for any other team and
Yeah.
I'd buy his jersey?
Yeah.
Hall of Fame player, Hall of Fame human being.
Yeah. Sticking with the Red Wings for myself, I never really hated Pavel Datsyuk.
Yeah,
I think it was just watching him and Patrick Kane play. It was against each other in the postseason and everything. It was just like you just saw just how much skill both of them have. And Datsuk's, you go back and watch his highlight reel. It's just I just respected the skills so much that it was just like, well, he's with Detroit. There's nothing you can do about that. But it's just he was just so good, and he seemed to always kill the Blackhawks, and it was just, you really couldn't do much against him. And another one in that same era for me is Henrik Zetterberg. I really just never hated him. I think it was just he never. I don't think to me he never had that like I want to punch his face.
No,
like it never had that. There were definitely some Red Wings that even in the modern era
that show's
that
coming,
had,
by the way.
Oh yeah, there were definitely even in the modern
Detroit
era.
Sucks episode.
You know, there are players that fit that bill, but for me, Datsuk and Zetterberg were two that could never really get the hatred levels up. And I think for Zetterberg, it was partly, you know, respect for the beard. It was pretty solid.
He was a handsome man with a nice,
very well
beard. I'll give him that.
manicured beard, and I appreciate that.
We are the official podcast of Hockey Beards.
We're the beard show.
And sticking in Detroit, you know, I know that the rivalry has been completely, pretty much dissipated by the NHL moving the Red Wings into the Eastern Conference. They're not as hateable as they used to be.
It's not a fiery wing sauce. It's a mild wing sauce.
But there's a couple of guys on their team now that I really enjoy watching play.
Yeah,
and
a lot of
them. Well, yeah, there are more coming too. But Dylan Larkin, I consider myself a fan of. And if you love the game of hockey and you sit and watch Mo Seider play hockey and don't like him, there's something wrong with you. Like I know he plays for Detroit and that's evil, but that's not his fault. He's such a good player. I would trade like everything the Blackhawks have to get a Mo Seider on our team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's an awesome young defenseman. And it's funny, like, maybe it's just because we are very focused on Detroit because of where we are, but they just have a history of that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Eiserman, Fedorov, Lindstrom, Larkin. Even now, like, Lucas Raymond is a guy that's an exciting young player. Seems like a decent dude. You know, Tyler Bertuzzi, Pudwack.
Yeah.
I'll come out on the record.
Throw
and
him
say
under
it.
the train with Luongo.
There's always those guys to hate on the Red Wings, but they've always seemed to have at least one of those guys that sort of transcends rivalries. And look, that's why the Red Wings are considered one of the best organizations in sports. Yeah, it's been a tough run for them over the last 7-8 years, but their arrows pointed up for them, and they've always kind of had this an Eiserman, Larkin, yada yada, Zetterberg type player on their team.
Yeah,
they always make sure they've got a guy like that.
And bringing an Eiserman to run that team now, a guy that came from that, helped build that culture, is the icon there. I mean, they literally call him the captain in Detroit. Yes. So having him back there and reinstilling that, it's not good for Red Wing haters like ourselves, but you know. Who in the this could be another Top Shelf Tuesday topic. Who in Blackhawks history could be their version of Steve Eiserman? I mean, I don't know.
Taves, right?
Do you really want him running the team? I don't.
I don't know.
It's bringing back to
someone to player that other teams
someone
like
to come back and just be
the guy and
the guy.
Yeah, the lifelong player that can come back and competently run the organization.
How about Hossa?
You know,
they keep talking about
Avalanche.
The
Avalanche
have
Joe Sakic. That's a guy we could talk about here. You know,
Hossa, I feel like could do it. Does he want to? And I don't think he does.
No.
Who knows? They keep talking about some sort of
some sort of role for him.
But even Hossa, that's a great call. But he's not like that long time Black. I mean, I guess we consider him
one of the most beloved.
Exactly.
I would say,
but
not a career guy.
For what, 12 years before he even showed up?
A lot of people seem to think Patrick Kane has a future in a front office.
I don't see that.
I don't think
he's
so.
a huge student of the game. He knows everybody's.
Again, is he a guy that wants to do that?
I don't think he.
I don't know.
I don't see it.
To me, Kaner comes as a guy that when he retires, he wants to be like the TV guy or just enjoy retirement.
He might just. I
show
feel
up every couple of
like,
games and wave to the crowd.
I feel like Patrick Kane when he's retired. I think he, like you said, like he'll either be some sort of media something if he wants it. I don't see him going into
maybe
the
front office.
What about Brent Seabrook as a coach? Maybe not a front office guy, but I could see coaching in Brent Seabrook's
Didn't
future.
He coach?
He was with the Vancouver Giants for a while.
He was like a special assistant
for
like a
that.
week. Yeah.
I mean,
maybe.
Look, when you would watch those, and even towards the end of his career, when I'd be at games, I would always sort of focus on Seabrook to say, oh, God, is he really as bad as I think he is? And the answer was yes. But he was the coach on the ice all the time, telling guys where to stand, where to line up, what to look for. Like, he's got that X's and O's mind, and that's, I think his hockey intelligence kept him in the game longer than maybe he could have even been, too, because he was never the fastest guy. He was always big and strong and physical, but his brains are what made him such a great player. And I could see that translating to a coaching staff somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's got to pay the dues, and is that a guy who wants to do that, right? Does he want to go coach in juniors and work his way up?
Can you hire a guy to be your coach who's technically still an active player on a team right now?
Reggie Dunlop. It's been done.
Mr. Duds agrees with you on the Seabrook.
There you
That's
go.
an option there.
So the next coaching staff for the Blackhawks will be Hossa, Seabrook, Patrick Kane. That'll be the next coaching staff.
And then when you go into overtime, the coaching staff puts on some skates and takes that first 3-on-3 shift.
There you go.
All right, the other team we really hate is the Blues.
I hate them more than the Red Wings. I'm going to go
I
on the
agree with
record.
that.
Still,
I agree with that.
that's an active hate. Yep.
Yes, the Red Wings I can respect. I hate them, but I can give them respect. Blues never will get an ounce of respect from me.
I got to be honest with you. It was a lot harder for me to come up with Blues that I liked.
Oh,
I've got two in their
Brandon
entire
Saad.
history. I didn't even include him.
That's even,
You can't even
One
do
of them
that.
is a current player, and
Okay.
that's Vladimir Tarasenko.
Okay.
Yes, he is a stone-cold killer when he faces the Blackhawks.
Yep.
But, man, if he played for any other team, I'd probably own his jersey.
Yeah.
I put him in like that Fedorov type, with just a real great, skilled player, fun
absolutely.
to watch. That's the current guy. The only other St. Louis Blues I can think of that I actually really liked, but I liked him before he was a Blue, is Al McGinnis.
Okay.
It was hard to hate Al
the
McGinnis.
final helmetless guy, right? Al McGinnis.
No,
that
that's
was Craig McTavish.
Craig
Oh,
McTavish.
McTavish.
That's
not
former
McGinnis.
Blue, though. You're right team, wrong Irish guy.
McGinnis broke Jocelyn Thibault's hand with a slap shot.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love Jossie Thibault.
He's a really good player.
Rob B says Ryan Miller. I don't know if I agree with that.
Ryan Miller,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess the Team USA kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
never really
Probably.
hated the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
Well, he played
Yeah,
for the Ducks.
Ryan Miller was on the Blues for a
Oh,
cup
that's
of
Yeah,
right. He was
for
on
a
short
cup of
sale
coffee.
for like a day or
hot
two.
minute.
Yeah, him and Marty Brodeur.
Yeah.
So for my Blues, until the rivalry really picked up steam, I liked Barrett Jackman.
Okay.
But then he
Ugh.
turned into a total pud.
Yeah.
So I had to stop. I do currently like Colton Parayko. Just
He's-
the kind of guy I would like the Hawks to have.
Yeah.
Historically, Cujo. Big Curtis Joseph fan. Always had great
Yeah.
helmets, great artwork.
And Cujo, and he's played for different teams.
Yeah, he's
too,
been
so,
around.
you know,
I actually think of him more as a Leaf than
I
anything.
do too.
Agreed.
Or the Oilers.
Yeah, but
Brewers.
I was always a big fan of him. And then there was always that expectation that Brett Hull would be a Hawk someday. And, the connection to Bobby when I was younger made it cool. But then, I don't know, like, as I got later in life, I kind of soured on Brett Hull a
I
little
never
bit.
was a fan, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. I just didn't.
What about Adam Oates, Mr. Duds? Adam Oates.
I think of him as a Bruin.
Yeah. I think of Adam Oates as a James Bond villain. He has that look
Yes,
of
he
like
does.
that guy that shows up in a turtleneck and tries to
Mr.
like,
Bond.
Like he's
Very
got
much so.
that villainous look. Adam Oates to me wasn't a Blue for that long. He was a Bruin. He was a Capital.
Yeah.
I think of him in Washington more.
Yeah.
Than St. Louis.
Yeah. So
For me, the Blues, I came up with two as well. Again, more modern era for me, but he hasn't spent the majority of his career in St. Louis. But TJ Oshie, I never really hated.
I did.
When he was with St. Louis. I think the Team USA magic, I think, kind of erased a little bit of that hate.
nope.
Back in 2014.
I hated him slightly
I mean,
less for one summer.
Yeah. But yeah, I never really
20
and
minutes.
I think the other thing too is after he left the Blues and learning about his story in Washington after they won the cup and everything with his dad, I think it's just like humanized him a bit more, which I don't think is a bad thing at all with athletes. I think that's a grander scheme topic, but yeah, I never really hated TJ Oshie when he was in St. Louis, and then for me. The connection to the Wisconsin Badgers that I have, I never really hated Brian Elliott. And I mean and I think I think to hate a goalie, they really have to do
They have to be
some-
good.
They have to either
Brian Elliott's good.
they either have to be
They
really
actually have to
good,
beat you.
really good, or be just a jag. So like goalies like Binnington now
Yeah.
is a jag.
Yeah.
Like I
Mike
can
Smith.
easily can get on the I don't like Jordan Binnington train.
Yeah, that's
but yeah,
an easy ticket
I
to
never
punch.
was Brian Elliott. I was fine with.
I had forgotten Brian Elliott was a Blue until you said
He
it.
was, yes.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Brian Elliott, the Moose, not a hateable guy.
No.
No, yeah, I just don't have a lot of Blues I like.
No, I do want to give a quick shout out to Nick Leddy. I'm still a Nick Leddy fan.
He's been a Blue for just
long enough,
as long as Ryan Miller was.
Yeah, I mean he's that. The Blues always have that tradition. I love when they did that alumni game at the Winter Classic a few years ago, and it was like they bringing out Wayne Gretzky and Martin Brodeur, and it's like, come on, that's cheating.
You don't get to do that.
You guys had those guys for 2 weeks.
Gretzky was at the Avs Blues game, and they kept showing him on the Jumbotron.
But the Blues had like a long history of guys for like 10 minutes, and then they were gone.
2 of the best ever for 10 minutes.
Yeah. And they had Brendan Shanahan for like a year.
Yeah. Skokes brings up Chris Pronger. Where are you guys at on Chris Pronger?
I never
Under the train.
Never liked him anywhere.
No.
Yeah, he sucks.
He's great. He was a great player, but a world-class peen.
I would have loved that guy in a Hawks sweater.
Absolutely.
Of course.
I owned a 44 Hawks jersey if he played her.
Yeah.
But he never did, so he can piss off.
Of course.
All right, who do we hate the next most? Should we go with
Should we do
Minnesota? Should we do like a Minnesota
Dallas?
combo?
Yeah, I got
Minnesota,
a few of those
Dallas,
guys.
sure.
I was
Dallas.
I'm trying to think. I guess it's more Stars. We'll have to wait till I get to the Stars. But I was were the Hatcher brothers part of the North Stars?
At least one of them.
Ugh.
Kevin.
Darian?
Yeah, Darian was
Ugh.
the guy that killed Ronick that one game.
I did like
I
Darian
hate
until
those
then.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both played for the Stars. I don't know if it was at the same
I don't know if
time.
it was Minnesota.
I think they played together in Washington.
I'm the only Wild players I really like are current guys.
But there really isn't the rivalry with the Wild. I don't
Yeah,
hate
there's
the
not.
Wild. I know the Wild
They hate
fans.
us.
Because we beat
Yeah.
them in the playoffs.
Right.
They've never beaten us.
Right,
They're kind of
yeah.
like, oh, okay, we get to practice in the first round on our way to the cup.
It's more of the Chicago Minnesota market.
Right, exactly.
That
You hate
is the
Vikings.
rivalry.
Sox fans hate
Yeah.
the Twins. Bears fans hate the Vikings.
Yeah, but like North Stars and Blackhawks.
I hated
that was heated.
I hate the Dallas Stars because growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, hating the Minnesota North Stars.
Correct.
Right.
And the first guy that comes up that played for both of those franchises that was really hard to hate is Mike Mcdonnell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mike Mcdonnell, great player.
My wife hates him. She just hates
Still?
his face.
Hates his face. Punchable.
I mean,
And then he did use the Hawks for leverage that one year.
yeah. And then he finished his career with the Red Wings, so I
Right.
mean, you get that there too.
yeah, the
So
one year.
the Red Wings pulled the Blues and brought in Mike
Yeah.
Mcdonnell for a year. Him and
My-
Daniel Alfredson.
My buddy from college was a big Red Wings fan, and he was also a big Mike Mcdonnell fan, and that was his. He was just like, he has like 2 Red Wings jerseys, and one of them is the Mike Mcdonnell one. I'm like,
Wow,
that is. I'm
that's
like,
cool
that
now,
is
though.
Good old
yeah.
number 90.
Yeah, 90.
So it was somewhere in our home we have a Theo Fleury Blackhawks jersey.
nice.
By the way, Darian Hatcher did play for Minnesota for 2 years. Kevin did not.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's mine.
There you
I
go.
like Darian
There's
Hatcher.
the couple of other Stars guys but Neil Broughton is a guy that was
Yeah.
tough to hate.
Neil Broughton, sure.
Part of that 1980 Olympic team. Even in the heyday of the rivalry with the Blackhawks, it was hard to hate him. And it got a lot easier to root for him because if you remember, he finished his career with the Devils, and he was part of that first
Yep.
Devils Stanley Cup winner. Was that 95?
95,
I think
yeah.
that was his
So,
last
yep.
year. So Neil Broughton was a guy that hard to hate. And the other guy is easy to hate, but I loved him. More recent. And he was only on Dallas for a couple of years. I'm sorry. I love Anton Rousseau.
Oh, no.
He's
boy.
a wang.
He's forever on
But-
on
Yeah,
my
no.
shit
See,
list.
Oh, I fucking hate that
I
guy.
never thought he was like a dirty player.
Oh, but he is.
I think he's a guy that just. I liked him because he was a villain and he embraced the role as a villain. And
Sure.
sports
Yeah.
are more fun to watch when there's a villain out there who's not a villain because he's a bad guy. He's a villain because he's like, I'm going to go out there and just
I know my
disrupt
role.
things. Right.
Yeah.
Know your
I can
role.
appreciate that.
Yep.
So I liked Anton. I remember going to a game against the Hawks Stars when I had my season tickets, and he scored a penalty shot. And he kind of did the whole little shh to the crowd. And I was like, you know what? I
Respect.
can respect that. He's embracing his role as being a hated player. And I don't think he was never a headhunter. You know, he was that guy that walked that line between dirty and you know, but he was never, you know, a guy that I don't think intentionally went out to hurt. But I liked that because I was like, that's a guy I can hate and feel good about hating because he wants me to hate him.
The other North Stars guy for me is Yuri Lennon.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of go about your business. Great 2-way forward. Believe he won a Selke.
That sounds right.
He's
Didn't
the
he?
last
Is he the last
winger to
Selke?
win one, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Joe Nieuwendyk was a
Yeah.
guy you couldn't really hate on those Dallas teams either. I mean, granted, most of his career was the Flames, not a rival of the Blackhawks, but Joe Nieuwendyk I couldn't hate.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Just hate trying to spell his last name.
Chris Draper
good
won
luck.
the Selke in 04. That he was a winger, right?
And a wing.
Was he?
Yeah. So Lettinen
was
won
a
it in
center.
03. Draper won it in 04. And ever since
And then
then,
lockout
as
and
I
then
scan, it's been nothing but centers.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a player that, you talk about a player like Marian Hossa. Like he was.
Well,
he was
before he was a
exactly
Hawk,
like
that was one of those guys too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just couldn't
Oh,
help
yeah.
it. He was just awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, in the Minnesota Dallas connection, I think along with Mcdonnell, a star, current star that I just cannot hate. And again, I go back to the Badger connection is Joe Pavelski.
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's
he
a
is.
great
I
one.
will never
yeah.
root against him if I don't have to. I love Joe Pavelski, and the conversation that we've had that we'll probably do on another show about players you always thought would be a Blackhawk. I thought Joe Pavelski was coming to Chicago. I think that was last summer.
I remember-
I thought that was going to happen.
Before he signed with Dallas, one of my all-time bad takes, aside from Artemi Panarin's a one-trick pony, was that Joe Pavelski was toast and that he was done.
Yeah.
And that as soon as he left San Jose, he was just going to be a shadow, play a year, and then retire. He's been fantastic with Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
So, bad.
Dallas has another guy currently who's been all around the division. Ryan Suter's a guy I can't really hate.
Yeah.
I don't think I wouldn't go out and say I'm a fan,
I feel like
but I can't really hate him.
I've recently heard rumors of Pudwactum
Yeah.
about him, but I don't. I can't remember precisely what it
Pudwactum.
was.
Rumors of Pudwactum. Wasn't that a Butthole Surfers
that
album?
was that was Fleetwood Mac's follow-up album to Rumors.
I don't know. I like him
yeah.
as a player.
I always love Gary.
Yes.
Gary
Yeah.
Suter is an underappreciated Blackhawk.
Right.
And I always loved Gary, so I did have an affinity for Ryan.
Yeah.
a
He was
little bit.
one of those guys that I kind of always hoped would become a Blackhawk.
Yeah.
But he was on the Predators for years, the Wild,
Predators.
and now
Hey,
the
if Sam
Stars.
Boma was
Stars,
GM, he
yeah.
still might.
Maybe.
There you go. There
All right.
you go.
We should probably do Nashville because they're
I don't
going to
have-
feel left out. Like, we're your main rival. No, you're not.
There's nobody
You're
I like
not.
though.
It's
in
like head
Nashville.
pat. It's hard to dislike Roman Yossi. I
Yeah.
liked Pecorine.
I did not.
I did not.
No.
I didn't hate him. I just didn't like him. It's
you're
just because, as we said with
I gotta
goalies,
think
they
for the
either got to be
Finns.
they got to be Jags or they got to be really good, and he was really good.
Yeah, it's
He was not a Jag. He's a great person from what all that I know of him, but just I just couldn't like him.
Roman Yossi's probably the one guy I'd be like, yeah, okay, I like watching him play, but I can't cheer for him because I hate the Predators.
A player that I respect that was with the Predators, and part of it is because I covered him years ago in Milwaukee, was Victor Arvidsson. I always thought he was very good, very underrated, and just this last year played a big role for the Kings getting through this season and into the playoffs. I'll never not like him. So
Kevin K-Duck is in the chat and he says Martin Erat.
Yeah.
yeah,
He was such
But
he
only
was
for
such
his
a predator.
decision-making in Game
He
5.
just like guys are made to be on a certain team. Martin Erat is a perfect predator.
Yeah. And
Like
then,
probably better than he has business being.
Then George McPhee traded Philip Forsberg from. Ooh, that's not a great trade.
Let it play out. Let's
Not good.
see where it goes.
Yeah, and then give that guy the keys to the Vegas.
All right, before we wrap up,
any Avs or Jets that we don't like
my
or do like?
my favorite
Sakic and
non-Blackhawk
Forsberg.
ever is Peter Forsberg. So
Forsberg, Sakic, that that late '90s, 2000s.
Chris Drury, I loved as a player.
Avs.
yeah,
Yeah.
Drury. Yep.
Those
I
were in
love
there.
those. I was a fan of those teams though. Like I know we hated them in '96 when they knocked out the Hawks, but after that,
Yeah, they're huge rivals
I
with
was
Detroit.
they
We were rooting
Detroit-
for 'em all the time.
Right, they were my playoff team in the '90s and early 2000s
Yeah.
when the Hawks weren't in because
they
they
were-
had guys I liked and everybody in Detroit hated them. It was like, well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
There you go.
So we should mention though the Canucks because there were a couple guys on those Canucks teams that I actually respected. I won't
Antoine
go to
Rousseau.
well, that was later. But no, I I got nothing but mad respect for Sammy Salo.
Oh, nice.
That dude was a warrior. I mean,
and Patrick Sharp.
Yeah, like
ruptured his newts.
That's playing a hockey game with a one ball. That's impressive. That's and another guy that like I don't know if I would put in like I liked, but we could put him in that category of God, I wish we had him. Was Ryan Kessler in his prime?
Yeah.
That was a hell of a hockey player.
Tough dude.
Watching
man.
him and Taves go at it in their primes was
in
that
Vancouver
was special.
and Anaheim.
Yeah.
Kessler, hey, no human can take that many hits. Wasn't that his quote?
Yeah, no human can withstand.
Yeah,
Except
but he
the
was
Hawks.
he was a guy that like, man, I don't like him, but I would love him if he came to Chicago. And that was a guy that was rumored for a little while.
Yeah.
More of a wish list type of play. Hey, imagine Taves and Kessler as your 1 and 2 centers. That would be impressive.
In their primes, that would have been amazing.
Would have almost been unfair.
Yeah. Pavel Beret is another one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, but he never really was on a rival.
No,
per
not
se.
really.
Not a rival.
Canucks.
I'm trying to think
Canuck.
of the
Yeah.
Canucks that we hated.
I loved Alexander McGillney too.
I was a
when
big Trevor Linden guy. Linden was there for a while,
then left and then came back.
then left and came back.
And now
Yeah,
he's-
I liked him in the black, orange, and gold version of
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Canucks.
right.
That's what like NHL '94. They
Yeah.
were one of my teams. So
Jurke Lume.
Matthias Naslund
Yeah.
never bothered me. He was a good player.
That's a guy, Marcus Naslund.
That's right.
That's
Sorry.
a guy who
Matthias was
it
Montreal.
feels like he's one of those players
Underrated.
that history's kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
Marcus Naslund was
He
an
played on
elite
the-
scorer for a long
He
time.
played on the wrong coast of Canada.
Yeah, you're right.
Had he played in Toronto or Montreal,
Yeah.
there'd be a statue of him somewhere.
He was terrific. He was a great player.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Chris Drury too, and for whatever reason that name, I don't know, like he was always really good, but maybe not great.
Yeah.
So time has sort of forgotten him.
Because he was like that guy that he
I know
was
he's
the
doing
role-
front office stuff now. Of
He
course,
was the
but-
role player type guy, where
Right.
he never was the star because he never had to be.
But he was a video game cover athlete. He was on NHL.
Hey, I
2K,
remember
whatever.
watching him pitch in the Little League World Series for Trumbull.
Oh, yeah.
Connecticut. That's how old I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
He also played for Team USA.
Yeah.
2010.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, are there any other guys that like? Just trying to think.
Trying to think of it. So
I
guys,
can't,
how
I
about-
can't think of a rival era Canuck that I'm like, no. I hated
because
them
even
all.
the Sedins were
Even the
annoying.
Sedins, you're like, yeah, you respect how good they are, but they were
I hated them.
Fuck
so
them.
annoying.
Nah, no,
No,
exactly.
I'd still like to line them up like the Three Stooges and just hit them with a giant.
Get a third
fish.
one. Get a
Well,
third one in there too.
How about on your Antoine Rousseau thing? We can kind of adapt this before we wrap it up. Like guys you were supposed to hate and didn't. For me, that's Mike Ricci.
Oh, I love Mike Ricci.
I like Mike Ricci, too.
ugly, like hockey face,
So ugly.
to the nth degree.
By the way, now we've
Assistant
not
coach.
talked about the 30 for 30 that's coming out between the
Oh,
Avs and
yes.
Red Wings.
that's going to be awesome.
Did you see Mike Ricci still looks like that? He's still got the
He's,
fucking
he's
hair.
an assistant coach for the Sharks. I want to say he's on an NHL
Unreal.
bench looking like.
There's a
that.
lot of those Steve Otts on the Blues bench. A lot of those hated guys.
Steve Ott's a
Steve
guy
Ott.
that I was supposed to hate and hated.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
Definitely on.
I
That
love
list.
Ricci though, because I love that again. Hating the Red Wings, like that was
Yeah,
Avs.
Yeah.
Mike Ricci. I always confuse, and there shouldn't have been any confusion because they were completely different players. One looks like Mike Ricci, and the other was very handsome. I always confused Mark Recchi and Mike Ricci.
Oh yeah, well
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
their names. Yeah, I
They're pretty
did the
close,
same
yeah.
thing.
But they were totally different players. You could not confuse one for the other physically.
Yeah.
But I always would think, I always get confused when I see one name, I think of the other guy. Yeah, who are some of the guys though that you were supposed
You're
to hate?
supposed to hate,
And
but
that was
did
that was
not.
kind of me with Chris Pronger.
Yeah.
Like, he was just so good that I'm like, how can you? He was a dick. He was a Norris level defenseman. Like
Scott Stevens. There's a former blue.
one of the
too.
first hockey jerseys I bought was
Scott
a Devil
Stevens.
Scott Stevens jersey.
He could fit in this category too because he played for the Blues for a long
Yeah.
time before he was a Devil.
Yep.
He's a guy.
think of him
I
as a
threw in
Devil.
there. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I don't remember much of the Blues days, but the Devils is where he, won something because you don't do that very often in St. Louis.
That's a shame.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
I don't think I ever really hated Ryan Getzlaf. And they're
Yeah.
not necessarily a rival
He
of
was
the Hawks,
guilty
but
by
they
association because he hung out with
Corey Perry, yeah, yeah. Getzlaf and Perry go hand in hand, but I don't think specifically Getzlaf
Patrick
I
Law
ever
was a
really
goalie
liked.
that you were supposed to hate that I couldn't hate.
Yeah,
He's just so good.
I loved him. And he was so cocky.
good.
His whole I couldn't hear JR. 'cause I had
yeah.
my two Stanley
That's
Cup
that's
rings in
so
my ear.
classic.
That's just like, yeah. I'm going to talk the talk and beat you. Like you got to love that.
Well, hockey needs more of that, right? They
Absolutely.
need more in your face ego types. Like I'll take guys like that all day.
But less Connor McDavid got to get pucks in deep press conferences and more and I'm going to rip your head off and
a little bit more of character shown.
Yeah.
But there's guys with egos that you're just like, oh, what a dick.
But people hate that though, because people still are like, PK Subban. I love PK Subban.
I love PK Subban.
I love his personality.
He's not the player he used to be, but I would love to have him on the Hawks just for the vibes alone.
Yeah, I mean, but people hate that. Well, I mean, there's other reasons people hate PK Subban, but we don't need to get into that. But I love the personality. I love the colorfulness. Be yourself.
Yeah.
I get it's a team sport and you can't make it about you, but certain times you can make it about you and be okay with it.
If the Blackhawks want to keep doing their, we're gonna get a pair of brothers on the team. Bring back Malcolm and bring in PK.
Yeah.
Sure,
we can
you
sign
go.
Jordan just for the heck of it. Send him down the roster.
Maybe that's one of those
There you go.
bad contracts you can take on for some assets.
He's a free agent this summer, isn't he?
Oh yeah, is he a free agent
Yeah,
now?
I think he's a free agent now.
I think that is
That'll be interesting to see what ends up with him. Not to get totally derailed, but that'll be interesting to see because he's coming off a $9 million contract and he's not worth that whatsoever
No,
anymore.
he will not get that.
No, he wasn't really worth that when he first got it.
Yeah. I mean, he signed that with Nashville, right?
No, Montreal.
With Montreal?
Yeah.
It was that long?
Yeah.
Oh my
To the
God.
internet.
Because
Oh my God.
they traded
Time
that
is-
contract for the rest of Weber's contract. It was pretty much a wash.
Oh my God, that's right. In 2016. That feels like a
let's see.
lifetime ago.
It does.
Yes, that was Montreal.
Holy crap.
Nathan's got a good name because the Kings and Hawks, of course, those respected.
Jonathan Quick?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick.
See, I did not like.
I did
Quick.
not like him.
Because I thought he was
I didn't like-
overrated. Sorry to interrupt you. I
No,
thought he
you're
was
making my
overrated.
point. Yeah, you're making
And
my
he was
point.
always like compared to Cory Crawford, and Crawford kept winning. And it's like, why is Cory Crawford not in that conversation? So
Yeah.
it was always to me like Quick versus Crawford.
And I wanted that goalie fight in that game when he was creeping down the ice, and Crawford was like, "Come on, keep
Yeah.
coming, keep coming."
Here's another
Quick didn't want it.
Of course not.
last dudes you'd want to fight. Cory
Crawford's on
Crawford
that
is
list.
on that list, man. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, there's a glint in his eye that says,
got
"I
that-
will end you."
Was it Robbie Fabry he went after in the Blues series?
Yeah.
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 So
I would
that's
not
why
wanna-
I never liked Quick, but I gotta say, like, he was awesome this year.
Yeah,
Total bounce back year, and he looks like the Jonathan Quick of old.
It was supposed to be the
He was supposed-
anointing of Cal Peterson.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Quick was like, not so fast.
He was supposed to be dead in the water.
He was one of their most valuable players all season. We
Yeah.
saw it in that playoff series.
Yep.
He stole a couple of those games.
And just a quick look at this is
There he
Mike,
is.
Mike Ricci
Love him,
currently
man.
looking exactly
Total
the same as he
hockey
did.
face.
He hasn't
the
changed.
mid-90s.
That lighting-
That's a still from the 30
That's
for
from
30,
the
right?
from the trailer. Yeah, that lighting's not doing him much favors either.
But the hair,
Yeah,
I mean, he's
there's not
got the
much
same
lighting.
hair.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like he looks like the same age. It's like they took him out of a cryo chamber from 1999.
If you've not seen the trailer
Cyborg.
for the 30 for 30, I was very surprised to see Vladimir Konstantinov as the last person they talked to.
That was cool. That was.
I
very
cannot
cool.
wait for that, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
that's,
so excited.
That's gonna be great.
I'm so
I think that's
excited.
coming out next month.
Yeah.
So that'll be something to
Can we
keep
throw
your
Claude
eye on.
Lemieux in that mix? Speaking of that, like,
Of which?
Such a dirty.
I know,
prick.
but I kind of
see.
like.
I was Team Claude Lemieux because I
See-
hated the fucking Red Wings.
Well, that too, and even
Please
when he's with
smash
the
Draper's
Devils, like
face.
he falls under that category of players you're supposed to hate, but you kind of
Okay.
liked.
That's fair.
I loved Claude Lemieux on the Avalanche. I mean, granted, you know the famous play with Draper
That was awful.
was a scumbag play, but
Yeah.
And that
at the
started
time,
the whole rivalry.
At the time, I was kind of like, I kind of like
Yeah.
that.
Look at his jersey. He had it coming.
Yeah,
He's asking for it.
line up a few more.
Yeah. I mean, I never hate with Probert on Detroit. It was always it was more of a fear than a hate. Like, wow, which Blackhawk is he going to mangle today?
Cam Russell.
And as soon as he came to the Hawks, I got his
Palazzo.
jersey.
Yeah.
The first authentic I ever owned was a Bob Probert. I'm like, I'm getting it. Wore it at my wedding reception.
There you go.
Yeah, like that dude. I was so excited when he joined the Hawks.
Well,
I'm
and
like,
he's
oh, good, he's
and
not
he
going to
spent
kill
so
anybody.
much time in Chicago that it kind of
Yeah.
probably didn't erase everything from the Red Wings, but a little bit.
I
of
just
it.
love the, hey, we're going to get Bob Probert. And then the NHL was like, no, we're going to punish him for all the things he did in the last 10 years in Detroit, so you can't have him for a year.
Yeah.
That was a raw deal.
Hockey's cool. The NHL's cool. They're smart. They
I
do
will
cool
my
stuff.
Bob Probert story, and this is a not safe for work language coming out here, but I remember
Nice.
going to a Hawks Red Wings game. I think it was right like when the Score started carrying the game. So it was early 2000s, probably like 2003, 2004, and they were playing the Flyers, and they had Probert come on live in the United Center in between periods from like one of those corner bars, and
Brilliant.
then so they put him on the mic, MC, going out through the United Center, and they asked him about the game. Luke Richardson was on the Flyers, and he did something in the first period. And the first thing Probert says over the mic, everybody in the United Center hears him, "Yeah, that Luke Richardson's a pussy." It's like,
that
yep,
dude.
that's Bob Probert for you.
Jeez.
I was producing those games on the radio, and when they kicked Bob Probert off the ice and up to the booth, I got to, very sadly, I mean, one of my first sports heroes I got to meet working at the Score is I watched his decline.
Yeah.
You know, like he showed up first couple weeks ready to go, tons of notes, prepared, really solid. He'd bring his little daughters with him so he wouldn't go out after the broadcasts.
Yeah.
They were like his reason to not hit a bar. And then the daughters stopped coming, and then he was a little less prepared. Sometimes he'd show up late, sometimes covered in sweat. And I was just watching it like, oh man, I had to watch my hero, one of my heroes in sports, like really decline and relapse, and it was really hard to watch. And it was kind of like, for me, like a white kid from the suburbs who's never really had to witness a lot of that stuff. To see that was really hard.
His book is fantastic.
The book is fantastic. There are so many horrible sports books. Bob Probert's Tough Guy is fantastic. Just
One
the
of my-
stories.
One of my favorite sports books.
Oh
yeah.
man,
Speaking of sports books, should we do a points bet ad? Segue?
are you trying to produce the show or something, Lawrence?
I don't know. Maybe.
I was getting to it.
All right.
Quit trying to do your job.
We're like 48 minutes into the show.
All right, the best way to support CHGO, Mom, is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you're also going to receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our great web content, and even get a free shirt of your choice, like mine, that's very sweaty right now, from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. It's your home for live in-play betting, and it just got even better just in time for the NBA Finals. Live NBA same-game parlay. There's 2 teams playing in the finals, Celtics and Warriors?
Yes.
There you go.
The only reason I know that is because I woke up with ESPN on the TV and they were talking about it.
That was good. I'm very proud of myself for that. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live NBA same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game, and if you want more, you can always boost your live same-game parlays. Watch live, parlay live, and boost live with PointsBet. And now online sign-up is available in Illinois, so get out your phone, download the PointsBet app, and use that code CHGO. What are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. I cannot wait to watch the Kevin McHale-Danny Manning matchup that's coming up with Celtics and Warriors. It's going to be great. Oh, wait, he was on the Clippers. Damn it!
Oh, man. You should have went with Joe Barry Carroll.
That's what I said.
Danny Ainge versus Tim Hardaway.
Thank you. Did I say Joe Barry? That's a great, Matt Spiegel name. Joe Barry Carroll. That's a great name.
Could have went Run TMC.
You're losing
Tim
me.
Hardaway.
I'm-
Mitch Richmond.
I know Tim
Chris
Hardaway.
Mullen.
Chris Mullen.
Chris
Yeah.
Mullen.
Chris Mullen.
Run
TMC.
Wait, he's a
man.
pacer.
No, he was,
No,
a
he was
Warrior
with the
first.
Warriors.
I don't know
too.
stuff.
Yeah, clearly not. Keep going.
I just delete basketball. Like, enough people know about that. Let me do something more niche.
Well,
less valuable to society.
Another good way to support us at CHGO and just support yourself with your immune system and your gut health is with Athletic Greens and their AG1 product. It is formulated to improve your gut health, optimize your immune system, and give you more natural energy. In just 1 scoop of AG1, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. And it's good with different diets, whether it's gluten-free or keto or dairy-free or paleo, whatever it is. It's with the AG1, you're good to go. Can fit into those different diets. It's easy to incorporate into your life, no matter how busy you may be. A small once-a-day habit with big benefits. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's all you need. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right, we've got 10 minutes left in the show. We've got our Stanley Cup conference finals are set. Colorado, Edmonton.
Tonight?
And the Rangers. And, my God, what is wrong with my
Lightning.
brain?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
I don't know
It's
why.
been a long time
I could
since
see
they played.
I could see the uniforms. I'm like,
How did you forget about the Cinderella dark horse come from
I
behind
don't
Tampa
know.
Bay Lightning?
I feel we haven't done a show in
First
a few
time in
days,
the
and I'm
conference
like,
finals, I believe.
what is sports? Who are sports and why?
I mean, they haven't played in 10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Out of sight, out of
Been
mind.
a long time.
I had a little like premonition last night
Ooh.
before the Rangers and Hurricanes. I'm like, I think the
Premonition.
Rangers are going to win because what are the odds that the home team wins every game of a playoff series? Pretty low, right? And they were talking about that before the game, and the home team in that scenario is 11-10 in Game 7.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was interesting. So I bet the over, and I bet the Rangers.
Nice.
And I did pretty well
There
on
you
points
go.
bet, so that was exciting. Game 7, I always kind of go, give me the goalie. Give me the better goalie. And, I mean, Ronta got hurt. That looked really bad, by the way.
That was rough. Yeah, they said after the game from Brendan Moore, he said if they had won the game, Ranta wouldn't have been able to play
Yeah.
the next series.
No,
so
something
that's a
definitely-
rough injury.
Snapped, torn, ripped, whatever you want to call it. He immediately went down.
Yeah.
Hats off to the Rangers.
Yeah.
I mean, they won back-to-back games where they completely dominated both of those games, Game 6 and Game 7. They had the better goalie. You know, they're going to step up in class a little bit here.
Yeah.
We're going to see.
A lot of it.
I mean, I'm going to preface this. I am not knocking the New York Rangers, but let's face facts. They have faced an actual NHL starting goalie one of their games in the playoffs,
Right.
and they've needed 2 Game 7 victories to get on. Now they're going to face the best in the world. Not
And-
CM Punk, but
And
Andrei
maybe the best
Vasilevsky.
goalie. Yeah, the best guy. I thought you were saying team, but yes.
No, the best goalie in the world. You got the 2 best goalies in the world right now going at it one-on-one. That, to
That's
me,
exciting.
With
is freaking sexy.
with
I
both-
love that.
With their games trending upward.
Yeah.
Shesterkin had his rough spots. Vasilevsky wasn't impervious against the Lightning, and now they're both heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's going to be an incredible series.
Shesterkin gave up, like, no rebounds. It's amazing.
good?
That
It must
guy's
be nice.
rebound
Is
that
control is
good?
phenomenal.
I didn't know that was legal after watching Delia and Lankinen for the last 2 months of the season.
Yeah.
That's allowed in the rules?
How about that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
just for the playoffs?
for the Rangers, we talked about throughout these playoffs that they're not the deepest team, but they rely heavily on their top players. But in the last 2 games, their top players showed up exactly
Lucas
how they
Zibanejad
needed
has
to.
been a monster. the
Kreider.
last 5
Chris
games.
Kreider, big games.
That
Shesterkin,
backhander
obviously.
that Kreider scored, man. He's,
But the Tampa Bay Lightning are a different beast. They
Oh, no
are
doubt.
deep. And again, the Rangers, I know analytics, but the Rangers, not a good possession team. You can get away with that, when you've got a great goalie, and but you give the Tampa Bay Lightning the puck 60% of the game.
Yeah,
you're not
that's-
winning many of those games.
yeah, it's not going to end well.
So it's going to be an interesting series. The Rangers are an up-and-coming team. I don't think they're quite ready for prime time yet, but this has been a heck of a run. And maybe their all-world MVP candidate goalie steals another series for them. Not that he stole both of those series, but he definitely was the biggest factor for them.
He's going to have to steal this one.
He will.
Yeah.
He's going to have to lead
should
the way.
be fun. Tampa, again, I've been saying it all season. Until they lose, I'm not betting against them.
You can't.
So it's going to be a fun series.
Interesting that the Rangers have home ice.
Right?
That is very
So
interesting. Yeah, but unlike the
For-
Hurricanes, Tampa can win on the road.
That's true.
You know what's cool about this is I am happy with any of the potential cup finals.
Yeah.
They sh-
You know,
I
these are
was,
gonna
I was
be
thinking
good,
about
two
that on
good
the way
series,
in.
yeah.
I was like, no matter which of the 4 match up, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'll be very happy with
There's
it.
a cool storyline for every team. There's a player to watch on every team. Some have several.
Right,
But It almost feels inevitable that it's Colorado, Tampa. But you never know. I mean, look, everyone's writing off the Rangers against Carolina, and they won, and no one thought Edmonton had a shot, and they won.
Yep.
So you never know. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to write our conference final preview today, and it'll be published on allchgo.com, and you should become a member
Absolutely.
at allchgo.com.
If you head over to allchgo.com, become a member, you'll be able to get access to that conference final preview we're going to put together and throw up there, plus all of our other great written content. My weekly This Week in Chicago Blackhawks history is up, so you can see what's happening. Lots of good memories is upcoming week. Plus, it's not just Blackhawks coverage there. We've got it all covered. We got a fantastic Bears team, Cubs, Sox, Bulls. We got both our soccer teams in town covered with the Red Stars and the Fire. And we're covering the only reigning championship team in this city, the Chicago Sky. It's all there. Plus, when you become a member, not only you get access to all that great content, all of our credentialed beat reporters getting it all for you, you get a free shirt. You can get the one Jay's wearing, the cool CHGO Bulls script. There's a Hawks one, that great logo if you're watching on YouTube right there. You can get that on a T-shirt. You got Bears, Cubs. All of our teams have amazing shirts. The Sky shirt is chef's kiss. It's
Fantastic.
probably
It's
my
awesome.
favorite of our CHGO shirts. And you also get access to our members-only Discord server where you can jump in and talk to fellow fans. A lot of us, we try and jump in there as we can as the games are going on. A lot of our other personalities and writers jump in. So a lot of fun, interact, help build this CHGO community, because that's what is so important to us. It's the community. It's not us in front of the cameras and behind the keyboards. It's you guys on the other side of the cameras that make this work. So help us out. Become a member. You won't regret it. Get yourself a free shirt. Get on that Discord and just keep supporting us, because without you, we can't do this, and we are super, super grateful for that.
Yes, 100%. All right, we're going to wrap things up. Thanks to Lawrence for producing. A reminder, tomorrow at 11 a.m., we'll be live with our player evaluations. We're going to do the goalies tomorrow, so that should be fun, and we'll do a full preview of the we'll react to Game 1. That's tonight.
Game 1 between Avalanche and Oilers tonight.
Yeah, that should be fun, and
Colorado.
we'll look ahead
McKinnon
to
versus McDavid. That won't suck.
No, that's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll
In
look
a word,
forward to
speed.
the Tampa series as well.
Don't blink. You'll miss it.
Yeah.
All right, make sure you're following us on all of our socials. The show is on Twitter at CHGO_Blackhawks. I'm at Jay Zawaski. Greg's at Greg Boysen. Mario is at Mario_Tirabassi.
I am not at rumors of Pudwhackdom, but I will now see if that handle is available on Twitter.
Is that domain available on GoDaddy? Do you still get your domains from them?
Make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcast app. Actually, subscribe on all of them. Download all the podcast apps, subscribe on all of them, and turn on those notifications.
Yeah.
Just annoy yourself to death. And make sure you're following the YouTube page as well, and turn those notifications on so you know when we go live. All right, we're going to wrap things up. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you Wednesday at 11 on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.